Welcome, everyone. Thanks for watching the Twin Cities Film Fest virtual festival this year and watching this amazing tech series film. My name is Jaden Satie. I'm the executive director, founder of the Twin Cities Film Fest, and I have some amazing people to introduce to you. Because of these two individuals, because of these two leaders in our community, we were able to make all of the tech series films absolutely free this year. So why don't we just get into it? We'll talk about technology, we'll talk about what they do, and we'll actually get some fun questions in there as well. So I'll introduce them, and then I'll have them kind of talk about who they are and their professions. So love to introduce Darren Lynch and Jennifer Bonine.
Jennifer, do you want to go first? Ladies first.
Oh, sure. Thank you. Yeah, so I'm Jen Bonine, and I'm the CEO and founder of the AI App Store and the Pink Powered AI Foundation. So we started our company with social impact at our core, super critical and important to us as a company and an organization. After having led a career in big tech with some of the large companies that we all hear their names every day, we wanted to build an AI-based company here out of Minneapolis, and we're doing some fun things right now. We're actually creating virtual headquarters for organizations and driving their AI solutions around how we use virtual research assistants, aka bots, to improve what humans do at work. But big key to us is, again, just social impact at our core.
And I'm Darren Lynch. I'm the founder and CEO of Irish Titan. Put plainly, our fast pitch summary, we're an e-com agency, an e-commerce agency. So we build and grow our clients' e-commerce websites, their e-commerce channels. A little more specifically to how we do that, and I'm going to reference Simon Sinek here because I'm a giant Simon Sinek fan, and start with why. Our why is business first, online second. We've trademarked that. It's framed and hanging up by our front door. And so that means that we do all of that without focusing on the bits and bytes or the pixels, or the keywords, and instead focus on how our services actually support the client's business strategies. We have 34 Titans, and we've been a long-time supporter of Twin Cities Film Fest, and proud to do so. Jaden's been doing with the Film Fest what we're trying to do with e-commerce and shine a light on what we're all doing here in the Twin Cities, in the upper Midwest region.
I really appreciate you both. The first question is, it's more of a generic, holistic question. How is technology changing what it means to be a human being?
Yeah, I think for us, I see it as it changes our tasks, just like with anything. As we get new technology and we get new access to different technologies, it shifts what we focus on. And I think we're at a really pivotal point right now with technology, though. Unlike the internet with AI and some of what's happening, as we saw in these films that you're highlighting, technology of this scale with AI and machine learning and what it does can be used for good or bad. And there's been for a while two sides of the coin of people saying this advent of technology is positive and other people saying this will be the worst thing we've ever seen if we do it wrong. And so I think it will change our tasks, but one of my big points right now of how it's changing us is this is a time where even if you're not an entrepreneur, a politician, or a technologist, I think this is the time where every single human being should get involved and have a basic understanding of artificial intelligence and machine learning. Because if you don't and you don't take a stance, it will be impacting you personally in your life. It will be impacting you in how it's built. It will be impacting you in how your day happens and whether, as we saw, you get loans, you don't. So I think now is the time that we need to get involved in it and create, we were at Davos this last year in the World Economic Forum, and they talked about, right now we're seeing productivity drops in humans and technology can augment that. But this great reset is about not only a technology impact and digital transformation, but resetting human beings and helping us realize what we're really good at as humans and saving and protecting the skills that we have as humans when we get this technology.
Darren?
So I think one of the benefits of a dialogue like this is you can riff off each other and provide different perspectives. Not that I'm disagreeing with Jen, but I'll take a different angle. I think that, if the question is, what does technology mean about being human? And I'm paraphrasing exactly how you put it, but I think it makes it even more important that we are human, because it is really easy to hide behind technology. And I think that is part of, nowhere near the entirety of, and maybe not even a big part of it, but I think it's part of a lot of the challenges right now in society, is that people can hide behind technology and social media, or hide behind their computer and not engage with other people and engage with people who might have differing opinions. I think that if we're not human, with all the technology around us, we'll become even more stilted as a society. And I think that without that humanity, without being conscious of that, the technology can really run amok.
I mean, those are very well pointed. I mean, again, you have to be human as well as you have to know what humanity will look like in the future. And you have to have that true conversation with yourself and your colleagues and your family, with the restrictions in place, but technology is here. And again, the decision is ours to use it for the good or the bad. The next question that I have for you guys is technology biased? And if it is, how do we fix it?
Yeah, I would say that technology is absolutely biased. And the reason it is because it's created by humans, right? So it's impossible for it not to be biased. It sort of ties back to my theme of that first question, with how important it is for us to retain our humanity, right? Because I think that some of this technology that's biased, if we try to be optimists and think the best of our fellow humans, then we can hope that the technology is not biased intentionally, right? It's biased because we're all humans. We all have biases. I think that without awareness of that and acceptance of that and acknowledgement of that, then we're not as mindful of removing as much bias as we can, either through things we can do ourselves to remove that bias, or once we hit a certain stage in the code or the app development or whatever AI sort of initiative we're undertaking, we pull in somebody else of a different bias or of a different makeup or of a different perspective, however you want to define that, and have them help troubleshoot, right? So I absolutely think it's biased, because I think you could say that that's fact.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would agree. Like, I think, humans, not only technology, but humans have biases. And it's about educating ourselves that we as humans have conscious biases, like things we know we're biased about. We have our favorite coffee place, that are monotonous things, but we have biases about favorite brands, about all these things. But then there's the unconscious biases that I think, again, it's an education factor of knowing some of that unconscious bias. And to Darren's point on the first question about humans have to get educated on this, and then what they have to do is understand the bias by which that technology was trained and use their instinct as a human to say, is that the right outcome, and not just take what they're given from the bot or the data or the machine learning, but actually use their intuition, their gut brain, and everything else that says, is there something wrong with this, and why is it wrong? And use that to help make determinations and decisions instead of just trusting machines and the outcome they provide.
You both are leaders in the tech industry with your own companies and varied history. What's the approach to technology at your company as it relates to serving your clients?
So I'll go first for no reason. I think that, we're pretty narrowly defined in our e-commerce niche. And so we're not a random, and I don't mean negative association with that, but we're not a random web development shop or custom software development shop or anything like that. And those are great companies. They're sort of technology first, if you will, right? Like when a new language comes along or some new technology that can help them develop the next application faster, then they kind of lean into that. We're really focused in that e-commerce space. And so we walk a little bit of a fine line where our clients feel like we're incredibly technology forward. Compared to some other companies and some of the people that we hire, who are not as technology forward as they would like, because I really push that business first, online second philosophy, so that we're not bleeding edge, but we're leading edge, which means that for our clients, we're bringing to bear technology solutions that are going to help them build their businesses, help them create jobs. We do a lot of work with entrepreneurs and family businesses, and they take a lot of pride in creating jobs. And so from a client-facing perspective, our technology is very solution-focused. How are we harnessing that power to actually support the client? Internally, we use technology constantly and new technologies. We're upgrading our internal stacks all the time. Like, we were early to Slack. You guys probably both use Slack. Slack's really, really pervasive now. We've been using Slack since almost it came out. We're using a tool called Office Vibe to measure internal employee engagement and help us sort of quantify our culture, if you will. And so we're using technology internally on probably more of a bleeding edge than we are towards the client-facing work we do.
That's great. Jennifer?
Yeah, I mean, for us, we call ourselves humanized AI solutions. So we've very much taken the stance. There's different stances people take. One is AI replaces people and it just gets rid of humans and the engagement interaction. But ours is, how do we take what technology we have and what it does well, and then what do humans do well, and we augment those skills on each side. And so our approach is very much, we use design thinking techniques from MIT to build solutions. So it's very much customer centric. This is about who is the consumer and what problem are we actually trying to solve to make sure it does actually solve a problem for someone, and that not only does it solve that problem, but it does what's needed for the consumer at the end of the day. And I think one of the big things, as we've seen in history and in some of the films even, it's been a homogeneous group of people who have designed a lot of the technology we all use today. A lot of them look very similar. And that's led to some flaws in fundamental tech being produced and having to be redesigned and redone. So our company takes an approach of diversity of thought in how we build. So diversity of thought to us isn't just gender diversity. It is diversity of the age of the people looking at the tech. We have a panel tomorrow that we did that has a 13-year-old on it that's a CEO, and we have a 22-year-old CEO that's our advisors that we're working with on some of these things as well to get their opinions on, you know, what we're building. So I think it's other types of diversity than just gender. There's things we look at and how we build these solutions that really hone in on that idea of diversity of thought before we build.
Can I bounce off of that for just a second? Because I love that point that Jen made. I think that, you know, with a lot of the social unrest and racial reckoning in the States right now, we need to pay special sensitivity to racial diversity, right? So I'm not trying to diminish that now's an important time for that. But I think that there's real value in diversity of thought. I'm sort of sensitive to that in some ways, right? You can say, well, you're a white male, of course I am, but I grew up on a farm in Iowa. And so there's I think sometimes a divide between people in rural communities and metropolitan communities. There's gender diversity, there's age diversity, all the things that Jen just mentioned. I think that's really good awareness. We have to work through things in some sort of priority, and right now there's some more important things to really focus on, but diversity of thought is a basic concept I think we cannot lose sight of.
Nothing to both of your points, it is absolutely key to have these conversations and to be not afraid to bring these things up and actively discuss and
right.
actively get your thoughts. And there's a lot to be said about pausing and listening.
Right.
Not always just speaking. And I think, again, as a happily married individual, that's the one thing that I've learned is you have to pause. You just have to listen, because sometimes that is all you need to, again, leapfrog where you thought you were going to, but by miles, if you just listened and then had a conversation. So I really appreciate you, both of you guys, bringing that up. I have a fun question for you. Throw out whatever answer you want. What's your favorite film? Now, I know you have multiple favorite films, but name a film, all-time favorite, that you would watch it whenever it comes on, and how technology is perhaps used in that film.
Jen, you want to go?
I can. Yeah, I can. And this is so hard. I had two, and one because it's a passion project because we worked on it with Disney when they were building out their new land at Disney World, which is Avatar. So Avatar and how that was used in James Cameron's use of it, and then how it gave us this idea of, you know, transporting and creating new worlds before that was really a thing with all of our AR and VR and all the tech we're now used to. So I think it's interesting to see how that's leveraged inside that film. But the one that my kids would say is WALL-E, because I think it shows us what happens when we just disregard and we get, you know, we lose our social consciousness about the ease of use of things and the ease of use of technology, and we stop thinking for ourselves. And one of my big things with technology right now is, as humans, we have to keep our skills sharp around problem solving, critical thinking, being innovative and creative. And I think WALL-E highlights for all of us on a social consciousness level in a fun way what happens when you don't do that, and how bad it can get, and how lazy we could all get as humans when everything just comes to us and there isn't a lot of effort or work we put in to make that happen.
Great.
So I had a couple of movies in mind, but to stick with the technology theme, I'm going to go with Batman: The Dark Knight. Jayden and I have had some of these conversations. I am an unabashed Batman fan and DC over Marvel. Yeah. We'll save that for another podcast sometime maybe, or something like that. But part of the beauty of some of the comic book icons, whether it's Marvel or DC, is you can read them or watch them in different eras of history, right? Like you can read Batman from the 40s, and it's obviously a lot different than reading Batman of today. And if you watch Batman '89, the version with Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson, you know, Batman's using, when they're in that art museum where the Prince song is playing, and Jack Nicholson Joker says, where does he get all those wonderful toys, right? And all of those toys were sort of manual in design, right? You watch the Chris Nolan trilogy, even Batman Begins, but especially when they start to get to Dark Knight, it's all computerized, right? And it's software driven and edging on AI, right? Like towards the end of Dark Knight is when that sonar system,
the big giant screen,
that Lucius had built, Batman used it in a way that Lucius was really uncomfortable with and said he was going to resign, right? Because it gave him too much power. Who's going to watch the Watchers? And when then Batman beats Joker, kind of, we don't really know always, right? And the password to destroy it was Lucius. So he trusted Lucius to destroy it, which he did, right? But I think that technology in some of those icons, regardless of genre, whether it's comic book or maybe like Sherlock Holmes or whatever, right? As time progresses, technology is displayed and woven into those stories in different ways, which is interesting to compare.
No, I love that. Both great examples. So last question, how can anybody who's watching right now learn more about you, your socials, your Instagrams, your website? So tell them how they can find you.
Yeah, so our website is irishtitan.com. My email is darren.lynch@irishtitan.com. I'm pretty visible on LinkedIn, on Twitter, and I'm easy to get a hold of. So if you even just go to irishtitan.com and click on company and see my profile, you can click on it and it'll send me an email right from there. I'm very accessible and happy to talk with people.
And then mine is, my personal site is jenbonine.com. So that's where we'll have stuff on some of the projects we're working on for social impact and that type of thing out there. And then the AIAppStore.com, and then Jennifer@AIAppStore.com. So pretty easy, and love to connect with folks on LinkedIn. That's a great place. So if you want to connect, we can definitely connect there.
I love it. I want to thank you both for this amazing conversation. I could talk to both of you together, separate, for hours and hours and learn so much more. Thank you also for being an amazing sponsor of the Twin Cities Film Fest. We truly wouldn't be able to do this without you. And here's to more films and more conversations, and to technology. Thank you guys very much.
Thanks for what you're doing, Jayden.
Thank you, Jayden. Awesome.